Welcome back to another episode of Life and Pinstripes. I'm TJ Stolzenberg.
James here.
This is episode number 43.
Johnny Lasagna! Jonathan the Wise Guy.
Ain't so wise guy.
No, not a wise guy. Not all that much.
But I love him. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Good piece of our bullpen, Yankee fans out there.
I think he still has a lot to prove, but don't give up on him. I know a lot of people have given up because he throws like 70 pitches in like 3 innings, but...
I do like him. But I know Yankee fans out there aren't even thinking about the Yankees right now.
No, they're thinking about the other,
The Houston what?
the Houston assholes, as I should call them.
The Houston Astros. What the hell were you doing? I mean, as Lil Wayne once said, be good or be good at it. Got my gun semi-automatic. But what he really was saying was, if you're going to do something, do it right. And, clearly they were doing something to cheat.
They kind of cheated their way in the 2017 season where they won the World Series.
Yes, these investigations. At first I was like, whatever. Like, cheating is everywhere in sports right now. It's like, if you ain't cheating, you're trying. It's whatever. But more and more the investigations started to come out, and it really was a way of cheating that took away a certain aspect of the game that is crossing a line.
It just seemed like the old school fashioned way of actually playing clean or playing hard to the end was non-existent.
Non-existent, because what's happening is, for those of you who don't know, I'm sure you're already sick of hearing it if you do know, they were sending signals when off-speed pitches were coming. They could literally see into the catcher, doing his finger signals, and it's not a big deal. I was going to say, hitting a trash can, making noises, like relaying what's coming or what's not coming. And all you really need to know if you're a good hitter is it fastball or off speed? Even if you don't know which off speed pitch is coming, you can gear up more weight back and kind of see it deeper and not get fooled by it. So that's a huge advantage, and that's a big no-no. Taking away like the surprising element of the pitcher and the catcher, they get a fair shake. They get a chance to defeat you with different chess moves, different sequences of uncomfortable pitches, up and in, low and away. And if you're taking away the guess element and giving the hitter an idea of what's coming, that's just crossing a line that you cannot come back from. I mean, to have them still have their title, their World Series title, I don't know. I think some time passes and their punishment's going to come worse.
Well, at first, when obviously they had the punishments, was a AJ Hinch, Jeff Lunau, their GM, got suspended and then fired by the Houston Astros. I'm like, all right, I guess that's okay. But once they're getting deeper and deeper into the investigation, you're saying to yourself, this is not good enough. You got to make the first time the worst time.
Yeah, and they definitely did not set the bar very high. I mean, they fined the team $5 million.
It's like, what? It's like me giving a penny.
Exactly. To put that in the common person's terms, their team in 2018 profited $368 million. That's $1 million a day for the whole year, just over. And so you basically punish them for 5 days. And by comparison, that's not doing a chunk of damage like they did to the ethics of the sport. You gave them a slap on the wrist, literally.
Exactly. Think of it this way. They give the Astros a slap on the wrist, but Pete Rose is still not in the Hall of Fame.
It brings into question that exact topic. Things like Pete Rose, who, when he was managing and the betting and his whole thing, not even allowed in...
He betted against his own team.
The Hall of Fame. And even if you bet against your team or even for your team, as we know, the recent NFL story, that's just a big no-no. But if you accept this and don't punish this all the way...
Other teams are going to do it.
All the things that have happened in the past, like Pete Rose, are going to come back and be like, wait, what the heck? How come I am eliminated from the sport and my titles or whatever or honors were taken away, and the Astros get to keep their title for now, and as did the Red Sox in 2018.
Yeah, how ironic. I don't know if you're familiar with this story. Alex Cora was the bench coach of the 2017 World Champion Houston Astros. Asterisks! He became the manager of the Red Sox in 2018. They went on to win 108 games and a World Series title.
I didn't even realize that detail of Cora being bench coach for the Astros. I forgot about that.
So he took his pussy ways of cheating and bring it to the Red Sox.
And also Carlos Beltran was there during all that time.
He was a player.
Playing his last year as a player in the World Series victory in 2017. Did spend many years with the Yankees. After 17, he became like a hitting liaison for the Yankees for 2018-2019.
Yeah.
And as you know, recently just hired as the Mets' new manager. He is now out of the picture.
Didn't even manage one game.
Not even a preseason game.
Not even a preseason game, man.
The Mets, good grief. You got to look at our crosstown foes, but they're kind of like our crosstown brothers in the Mets, and you got to feel for that organization, man.
Isn't it kind of funny? Like they investigated the Astros and the Red Sox. And I think Alex Cora tried to do a cop out. He's like, "Oh yeah, the Yankees were doing this." I'm like, where's your evidence about that?
Wow. See, that's the thing. I'm apprehensive to get into anything about see, the Yankees didn't do that. Like, I'm terrified to get.
I'm actually very terrified now because of that. Because
it feels like nothing is safe. You know, it feels like you can't. You can't be the guy who's like piling it on, like, yeah, you and looking down.
See,
because all of a sudden the roles will reverse and you look like that much more of a fool.
You just look like a dumbass.
So I'm apprehensive. So what we know for the Astros, they lose their manager, Hinch, out. I did see that they interviewed Buck Showalter recently.
Yeah.
It's almost like in my mind, I'm like, yeah, AJ Hinch was great and got them to this and that, but Buck Showalter, who might have been slightly forgotten when he was managing the Baltimore Orioles. In the early Baltimore years for him, he brought them far with not many pieces, like no pitching whatsoever. And also, yes, he stuck it out with some pretty brutal teams with nobody on their roster when the rebuild was happening.
Yeah.
Buck Showalter is one of the greatest minds in baseball, I think. And from whenever he covered some Yankee games towards the end of the Yes Network season, him, Michael Kay. It was great to listen to him.
Awesome
wasn't it?
To watch him.
Buck Showalter definitely breaking down the game and a great baseball mind. I learned so much just from those games that didn't matter towards the end of the season, but it was awesome. And that will be a step up for the Astros, I think.
If they get Buck Showalter?
Yeah, so I also feel like this is another, they're getting punished, but they're also kind of going to get rewarded. Yes, you're losing your skipper, but at the end of the day, you're getting another great skipper.
Yeah, you also think of... You talk about skippers, and then you move on to GMs who pretty much placed this entire Houston Astros roster, pretty much getting everybody, getting Garrett Cole, getting Zach Greinke, getting Ozuna, getting the pieces to build a championship-type lineup. And then, of course, it just gets after with the scandal and all that.
Yeah, and it's tough. Asterisks in baseball were introduced to us when the steroids started happening, and we look at records, because no other sport like baseball are records a big deal, constantly. In other sports, milestones like quarterback milestones and such, but the home run aspect, home runs in the season with Barry Bonds, and the steroid thing, and Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Rafael Palmeiro, all those years, you look back at it, it's such a seesaw of emotions when it comes to I'm not okay with how it happened, but in the moment, it was reviving a sport, and I don't know, man. You look at it, the numbers for home runs haven't been that close to that year Barry Bonds had.
Yeah, no one has even been close to 60. 60 home runs hasn't been hit, I think, since 2001 or something.
So you look at that and you can't help but think, oh boy.
Although Giancarlo Stanton was close though in 2017.
And didn't Bellinger have at the beginning of the year last year? Bellinger was on a crazy pace.
I thought Bellinger was going to hit 60 home runs, but then of course he hit that little downward spiral that most hitters usually have in the second half of the season.
At some point, eventually.
The dog days of August.
Yeah, and he has a big, heavy, hard swing, so. It's a very long, beautiful swing, by the way. But when he makes contact, the ball goes very far. But my point is, the numbers were so skewed from the steroids, so you can't help but think, yikes. Now I really who's the true career leader in home runs? I don't even know. If you're the type to say, hey, Barry Bonds still had to hit the ball, he still, even though he was all jacked up, he still had to make contact and swing and be a good hitter. So you look at this, and it's different because it was a team. It was coming from above. It was managers. It was coaches in on it. And, they said at first it was the players kind of going around, and certain coaches were just kind of hush hush about it.
Yeah, that's how they first originally started off as.
Right, but then you can't. They say that, but you cannot have anything happen in your organization as a manager or coach and not know about it. So of course they're probably playing dumb towards the end, and they didn't do whatever they did where they should have done to stop it. But hey, now I look at those Red Sox that I was very intimidated by last year.
Oh, in 2018?
Their lineup, and then the Astros in 17, their lineup, so much more intimidating. You felt it, and it was something to behold.
Yeah.
But to make it think in my mind now that it wasn't real and it wasn't based off of actual good hitting, it was just because they knew a curveball was coming.
It's because it's exactly.
It kind of stinks. It's not like, I'm disappointed in them, disappointed in the sport, but it's like.
It's a hard hit for baseball, by the way.
It's a big, bad look.
It breaks my heart, honestly, because I love my baseball. I'm so excited for the 2020 season, but now it feels like there's a huge,
dark cloud.
Exactly. There's a huge dark cloud on the sport because of this crap happening.
For sure. And there's a lot of questions, Astros fans, you go to a game, you used to cheer your head off. Now, I'm sure the loyal fans will still have no problem cheering their head off for whoever puts that jersey on and goes out there. But do you have a sense of ooh, we shouldn't have done that?
I would have.
And the Red Sox fans, I feel like they're super loyal. They're so loyal, and they're probably gonna be like, "Hey, who cares? Go Sox!" But at the same time, true baseball fans are gonna be kind of disgusted and disappointed in their own team out there.
I don't know. Massachusetts has taken a hard hit on cheating. By the way, you got the Patriots. And now the Red Sox. Who's next? The Celtics.
But hey, the best are usually scrutinized the most, and the New England sports has been the top of the tier of the sports world location-wise on the map for a while.
Yeah.
They got their titles.
Yeah, there's so many questions. I do want to talk a little bit more about what's going on with these guys. I know we have a lot to talk about today.
Well, then what's your question?
All right. How did Jim Crane, the owner, not know of what was going on?
Right.
And why did he not do anything about that?
But that's my point. I think the owner, even if at first he didn't know, how do you not know what's going on inside your organization? Also, you have people purposely reporting to you, that is their job, to tell you everything. And there's certain things you don't want to hear, and maybe that's one of them. Maybe that's one of those things where the owner says, my hands are clean of this, type thing.
So what you're saying is that he probably knew about something, but he's trying to save his ass by pretending.
I'm trying to say, at first he might not have been the one saying, hey, let's do this. He might not have been the one saying, hey, let's keep doing this. He might have found out, been like, oh crap, but kept his hands clean of it, and as it brought him results and wins, and it worked for a while without appearing to be caught.
Probably just
no touchy, let it happen, boom. How do you not know? So I think they were doing deny, but and there's no proof for them, so they'll be all right. But very dark cloud over.
I know, and still continues on, especially with the electronic buzzers on the jerseys. I don't know if you heard about that today with Altuve. Apparently,
it's clearly a very thin.
It's a very thin. It's
media created argument.
It's like weighing a wire. In the mafia, if they find out, they're gonna whack you.
Yeah,
but
for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, people thought Altuve hits the home run over Chapman to eliminate the Yankees, and as he's rounding third, all media members were close enough to hear him yelling, "Don't rip off my jersey! Don't rip off my jersey!"
It's like I'm wearing a piece or something like that. He literally just holds it like this, when he goes into the.
Obviously, it's a stretch. I'm not playing devil's advocate. I'm just thinking.
I'm not. No.
I don't think he had a wire on. Baseball's not a sport, especially in the biggest moment where if you don't do something, your team is going to possibly lose. You don't have a wire under your chest and cords and whatever. I don't think there was something with a wire. I may not believe the reason of. His wife was uncomfortable with it or whatever, but that's a little far of a stretch. But obviously, they had knowledge.
It just seems kind of questionable with all the crap that's going on in Houston over the last couple of days.
But it's regardless of who did it specifically or what, it happened.
I know.
And we have, so at the end of the day, whether Altuve, whatever, but, he still had to hit the ball. But at the same time,
it just seemed like he was perfect on the timing, though, of that slider.
I mean, he is a great hitter, though.
I know he's a great hitter, but still, though, it's like...
And we all know the Astros, a lot of the Astros hitter stats were much better at home than they were on the road. But the thing that goes against all this is in the World Series, every away team winning. Remember?
I know, yeah.
So they didn't even win a single home game, and they only won on the road. So at the same time... How much did it really? Who knows? But
if they cheated in the World Series last year, they didn't do a very good job of that.
Yeah. Either way, it's going to put a cloud over the sport, and we'll see what happens. But moving on to another sport that had a lot of interesting things happen that none of us, maybe some of us, but none of us really expected. NFL football playoffs.
Of course, yes. The unknown, one game, do or die.
Crazy. And that's the thing, it's do or die. I forget who brought it up. A coach did say, I think it was, don't know, don't remember, don't care. He said, football's sudden death. When you're into the playoffs in football, you don't have the game to get ready to see what your opponent's like in baseball, hockey, basketball, to take that first punch in game one, maybe lose it, and then punch back game two.
Of course.
It is, you got one game. You got to figure out the narrative all in
one game, one shot that will defy you as a player.
And we see the Ravens go in against the Titans. Titans coming in hot after beating the New England Patriots, riding a strong wave. Got to give the Titans preparation credit for not losing their flame after beating the Patriots.
They continued on and on.
They said that wasn't enough. They continued on, like James said. And honestly, Titans, you remind me of the Giants when they were 9-7.
Ah, yes, in 2012.
Yep.
Again, and when they went to the Super Bowl against the Patriots and they won. This
was
is
that the David Tyree year, or was that the...
No, that was the other one, not David Tyree. I think that was the second one.
Okay. What was the crazy play? I remember Mario Manningham.
Mario Manningham
down the sideline.
Yep, you got
Crazy
Mario
catch.
Manningham, Hakeem Nicks, those guys.
Wow.
It just seems like a lifetime ago when I was naming players like that, and now we have Sterling Shepard and.
I was going to say, don't fall into the dark black hole that is talking Giants football now.
Don't get me started. Anyway.
But the Titans do remind me of that 9-7 team. They got momentum. They are coming in hot. And they are at the peak of their game. And the craziest thing of it all is, it is old school style football led by the rushing attack.
A lot of rushing. That's basically how the Titans have been winning their games, by the man called the Henry of the Derrick. The Derrick of Henry.
Of Henry.
Oh, man.
Who has now a bunch of NFL records. One of them being he's the first in his first 3 playoff games to have 180 consecutive yards. Actually, he's the first NFL running back ever at any time to have 3 consecutive playoff games rushing over 180 yards. And then there's another stat where he got the most yards in his first 4 playoff games of his career. Dude, he's just a beast. And the crazy highlights that I've been watching is not only is he power, because I see him as a power runner, like in between the tackles, but once he gets out, he can slip and break away speed for a big guy. So he is doing something special.
I know, he's crazy. And what he did with, what was that guy? What's that guy? Was that defender? He pushed him out of the way.
Oh my God.
It was a former Seahawks player. Yep. It was Matthews, I think.
Nope.
Not Matthews.
Who's doing? Say in the conversation. What's the
who I'm talking about? I think if you're listening.
Wait, former Ram.
No, former Seahawk. I think.
Former Seahawk. Yep.
Former
Seahawk.
He gave Pete Carroll the middle finger.
Earl Thomas.
There it is.
Boom.
Earl Thomas.
Yeah, Earl Thomas got spun around. He shoved him in the back.
Pushed him out of the way. I'm like, whoa.
Made him look like
beast.
And for those who hate on Lamar and say choke in the playoffs, here's the thing. I never seen so many dropped passes. He put the biscuit in the basket, and his wide receivers were dropping the basket.
All the time.
All the time. And James and I got to catch it a little bit. He was at my bar, and we were watching. And literally, I think Lamar Jackson could not have done much more. Now, they were down, and they were down early. So they never really got to do their Mark Ingram, establish the run, use that to make Lamar Jackson's threats more variant. And honestly, they had to pass way more than they probably intended. But, dude, they just became exactly the fear. And the media basically not predicted, but they did a self-fulfilling of crapping out, of not showing up.
I didn't think that was going to happen. Patriots. Ravens coming in with possibly the best season in franchise history at 14-2.
Definitely. Most dominant.
We definitely both said that they're probably going to beat the Titans.
Dude, they put up 42 points 9 weeks in a row. Or whatever. They averaged 42 points. They crushed teams. And even if they allowed the amount of points they did to the Titans, they could have at least outscored them. They didn't even show up on offense. Now, the Titans, you got to give them credit. They're very well coached. They're very disciplined. And they're taking what the defense gives you. Ryan Tannehill is not losing the game.
No.
But he's also not the whole reason they're winning. But their strategy is working, and ride that hot wave. I'm very interested. What's your prediction now with the Titans coming in against the Chiefs?
My heart wants to say Titans, but my mind is going to go with KC.
You're going KC. Now, after, I think I might have to... Okay, so just for devil's advocate here, I'm going to say Titans. Now, first I'm going to argue against myself by saying that the Chiefs, they had the same thing happen to them what happened to the Ravens. They played the Texans, as you know. They got down 24-0 in the early second quarter.
Yeah.
Still had plenty of time, but they did the thing where, okay, we just saw this happen to the Ravens. They choked and never became themselves again the whole rest of the game.
I know. They played ugly.
The Chiefs at least re-identified their offense. Their defense still gave up a lot of points, but their offense scored like 34 straight.
34 straight points, and then they took a 10-point lead, and then they ended up winning by 20. First team ever.
51-31, yeah.
I think first team ever in the postseason to be down by 20 and then end up winning by 20.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know. It's like, you know what it is? It's like, you know when you play that game of Madden, you kind of like sit back and like you're playing, you're like, oh crap, I'm actually down. And then you kind of go like that, and you're like, okay, now I'm definitely into this.
That's exactly what you're talking about. You're in relaxed mode, and then it's like, oh wait,
too relaxed.
Too relaxed. Here we go. Definitely do that when I'm playing MLB. Sometimes I lean back and relax just a little too far away from the screen, and I have to pick up a curveball just a second too late. So then I have to get right at the perfect distance and really actually focus just enough, like ready for that off speed. Here we go.
I was down by 13 runs at one point. It was like 13-0 in the fifth inning. I'm like, what the what the heck is going on?
See, that never happens to me because I'm like in it like it's live. If I got down 13, I would have been like already like throwing the remote.
No, I'm like, okay, no more. I actually came up, and I think I ended up winning like 19-13. Like, so
there you go.
Ridiculous.
Just like the Chiefs.
Yes.
Being down a lot early, winning by a lot. Now, let's flip it to the NFC. We've got the Pack Attack, the Green Bay Packers.
Yes, who narrowly won.
Shout out to my stepdad, Patrick, who also is he's a worried Packers fan because I quote him by saying they wiped the floor with us the last time the Packers played the 49ers. I think he said they either wiped the floor with us or they kicked their ass or they... either way, they destroyed
They absolutely destroyed the Pack Attack.
So I think it'll be a different game this time, but those 49ers are like... They were like very equivalent, maybe a step behind the Ravens the whole year, and they lost in the head-to-head game. I don't see it happening. So I'm going to go 49ers winning, and you think it's going to be?
I think it's going to be, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to come back, and I think he's going to send this team to Super Bowl 54.
I would love to see that. I would love to see Rodgers against our man.
The media wants Mahomes versus Rodgers.
And guess what? Rodgers has to look over at Tom Brady and Drew Brees and kind of what happened. Like he's like in the class a few behind, obviously. He's a little younger. But he has to be very conscious of how many years and opportunities he has left for the big dance.
Especially with the number of times he's been injured.
And how many times he's been at least on a team that's good enough offensively, but he finally actually has a good enough defense that could do something, the Packers that is. Yeah. So I think it's going to be closer than the first time these two teams met, but I still think the 49ers are just too much. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't count out, was it Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams and Jimmy Graham? They're just...
Oh, and by the way, we're going to revert back to the Jimmy Graham just popped in my mind. Jimmy Graham, it was great to see you doing stuff because you were my fantasy tight end, but I ended up getting rid of you because you did crap, but it's good to see you doing stuff.
Yeah.
But he was definitely short of the first down.
I know, I do have to agree with that. I think any NFL fan, except for the entire state of Wisconsin, all knew that it was
and even the announcer, I heard it on the radio when I got in the car, the guy said, I don't know what you guys think. He was short.
He was very...
And if it's one of those moments where it's not overturnable, there's not enough video... Well, the first camera angle gave you the video evidence.
It was right there.
It was right there. So what I'm confused about as an NFL fan and understanding there's going to be really, really tight calls, things happening so fast, what's the point of having replay but being able to challenge certain new things when it seemed like the NFL and their ego wouldn't overturn things that were very,
very easy.
The evidence was constitutional. It was right there. It was enough. So I don't understand what went on this year with the calls, especially with those pass interference calls.
Oh God,
plenty
those pass
of them.
interference calls, especially the pass interference call starting from last year with the NFC Championship game between the Rams and the Saints. That's what caused
They created the rule because of that Saints play.
Yeah, I know. Well, the thing is that everybody knew that was a bullshit
But that's what's
call
happening
right there.
But that's what's happening in the everybody knew moment. They're not overturning the call. There's the everybody knows this is this, and the call is still not being made.
It's definitely the ego or something like that with the refs. It's like they really just want to get.
It's got to be the NFL too, because it's like it's not even the refs. Like the refs are just getting the call from New York, but New York, like, I don't get it.
How do you miss that?
It's also like, are they afraid of the floodgates opening? Like the flags that will be thrown for pass interference, no calls or calls. Like, are they worried about overturning one now? There's going to be so many more challenges. Like, they only have a certain amount. Like, it's, I don't know. I can't even think of a reason why they reviewed that play and killed the Seahawks' chances, who had their comeback right in perfect.
I think they were down by 18 at one point,
and it was a drop pass also that killed momentum too.
Yeah,
but the Seahawks, they had their shot and it was taken away from them. Like, I would have loved to see Russell Wilson with less than 2 minutes left drive down the field, and they didn't even get the chance.
No, even with Marshawn Lynch and Tyler Lockett, it's just like, oh.
Yeah, and there was something to him. And Russell Wilson, you got to give that man credit for what he's got. He's a beast, and I would have loved to seen that, and I felt like the opportunity was taken away from him. That's what bugged me the most.
I think he's in it. Well, I think Russell Wilson is also an MVP candidate as well. I think his touchdown to interception ratio was like,
oh, it's beautiful,
like off the charts.
And I think like what happened in the playoffs, like
it kind of just like
people do take they say they don't take playoffs into consideration.
So we're going to say the same thing about Lamar Jackson.
But that's what I'm saying. You look at that, and Lamar kind of pretty much did his job. Like, he had big stats, but
he did. But his team didn't really help his cause whatsoever.
Nobody caught the football.
Everyone had the case of the Butterfingers. It looked like if they went to a movie theater and stuck their entire hand in a tub of butter.
It seriously looked exactly like that. And I will say, Russell Wilson didn't get any help. He had that huge drop. I don't know who it was, but it killed momentum. They had to give the ball back to the Packers. The more clock is ticked, and then the Packers get the first down with Jimmy Graham, which clearly wasn't. So, don't understand what's going on. I hate when calls are really determining things, and it's okay if a call at least still gives the other team a chance, but when it ends the other team's chances and it's clearly wrong, what's going on, NFL? Why aren't you changing your calls? You had the video evidence. I don't know. Makes no sense.
Does it grind your gears?
It grinds my gears like deeply, man. It's like sports is turning into too much drama.
Yeah, I know. Like the actual like sports part is like ridiculous. It's like I don't see it anymore. It's like, oh, the refs suck. This guy.
It's media, like the back and forth of this sucks, that sucks. There's anger in it, and it's like sports used to solve that anger on the field, and now it's like you can't trust the institutions that are the spinal cord of the sport, the NFL and the MLB. I mean, these problems that are coming out now with media just steering the wheel of the narrative.
The media, the cheating, the refs, it's everything. The fans. You can't make everybody happy.
I just want to watch the game.
I just want you. Here's what I would say to you fans who literally just keep on just blabbing on Twitter and all that. Just shut the fuck up and watch the game.
Wow. That was emotional.
That was very emotional. That's what I have to say.
I wanted people to feel that, so I paused for extra oomph.
Of course.
You should please be quiet, in other terms. If you're one of those people that just blabs because you don't know, watch the game.
That's why I don't tweet in the middle of games unless if I see something that's kind of concerning.
I can't, because I see it as like, if everybody has a favorite team and they're just tweeting about their team, then tweeting should be used to rally with other similar members of your fan club. But I hate when it's to go against some other person's favorite team.
The disagreement and all that.
It's like,
stuff.
especially when bias comes into it and it's not even logical arguments. It's just, I like this team, I hate that.
I got some good ones. So I joined a few Yankee fan pages on Facebook.
Right on.
My favorite thing is when, say that we got Garrett Cole and it's like, oh yeah, we need another starter. I'm like, what are you talking about? Have you seen this have you seen a Yankee game? The starting five is going to be...
Especially after getting Garrett Cole, too.
Yeah, that too. I'm like, what more do you want? Or my favorite is when we should trade for Lindor or Arenado. I'm like...
But there's things where everyone's going to have an opinion, and it's definitely one thing, but there are the obvious ones who don't know the sport. And you know what? There's nothing you're going to be able to do, because the people that do know the sport, they just know it. They don't have to act like or prove like they do know it.
Oh, yeah.
And people are throwing out Hail Marys with certain names like, oh, we should get this, we should get that. But when it comes to somebody saying something like, the Yankees still need pitching, like...
We really don't.
Even if you do or don't, like, there's nothing you can do for that person. Oh. If they even type something like that, like, then they're so far gone or paying attention to what's actually happening.
I know.
You're not going to be able to... There's no point in...
It's just like things like that. It's just like it angers me kind of in a way. Like, as a true and passionate Yankee fan, I will say this: we do need a left-handed bat. I will agree with that part.
That's an obvious thing. We had Brett Gardner last year and all righties.
Gardner and Didi
and Hicks when he wasn't.
Yeah,
back problems.
That's why I wouldn't be opposed if we did get Francisco Lindor, but I know that's never ever gonna happen.
That would be delightful, especially their shortstop vacancy. But I think Gleyber Torres is gonna get slid.
I think Gleyber's gonna be just fine. DJ LeMahieu will be in second.
Well, that went fast, that half hour.
I know. How about that? We still have
we were going to cover maybe a little NBA, but we can cover it real quick. Basically, all we wanted to talk about, because the NBA is bleh.
Yeah, my Nets
Ja Morant.
Oh, Ja Morant.
Barking at James Harden. That was pretty cool.
Forget Zion Williamson. Ja Morant is probably going to be Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, well, he's a lot to go, but he drained a three. James Harden backed off of him like 8 feet. Ja Morant's like, all right, boom, drained it. And he says... Tell that mother bleep about me. Tell that mother bleep about me. And what Tony Kornheiser said on Pardon the Interruption, I am going to reiterate. Love the spirit. People say it was very Jordan-esque, but careful what you wish for there, because Harden can come back at you, and he's done it, provedly so,
it will definitely,
thousands of times.
He'll definitely drop 50 points. As you know, he's very fan of the light feather tap that we call a foul.
He might play no defense, but he can put the ball in the hoop, the biscuit in the basket. So careful, because that might just motivate him against you next time.
Yeah, just be careful what you wish for.
Yes. So that brings another beautiful end to this is season 2, episode 2. Overall, episode number 43.
Johnny Lasagna.
So want to do a little shout out to Clovercrest Media.
As always, thank you.
We are under your
once again. We also have our own page on Clovercrest Media Group, by the way.
We do.
Thank you!
Tell them about it.
So, basically, visit www.clovercrest Media Group. We have our official Life in Pinstripes page. You can visit there.
.com?
Yes, .com, I should say. My bad about that. You can find us. You can find our previous episodes. You can find our Instagram, Facebook, and our Twitter on that. And also all of our YouTube videos. Also, check out the other podcasts on there.
Yeah, and we're also kind of live streaming for those out there. We tried it out. We had a couple people watching the whole time.
Yeah.
Thank you for those who stuck with us.
Yes, through the 34 minutes of this.
Even though we talked baseball for the first 15, you stuck it out.
Well, it was worth it.
I
had a lot to talk
But just
about.
know that we're more than baseball fans. We are life fans.
Yes.
We have more to us than just a bunch of NY symbols on our chest.
Yes. This is just showing our loyalty for whatever has been going on this week. The Three Stooges event, as I saw on MLB memes today.
Cora, Beltran, and Hinch acting as the Three Stooges, right?
Yeah, it was great. I thought it was funny. I had to point that one out.
That was kind of funny.
Yes.
So, thanks for listening. We appreciate it. You know where to find us. Definitely shout out. Send us some stuff on social media. We want to hear from you, and then we just might read it on the air.
As always.
We appreciate it. We want to thank you, and never forget to rock
and
or
roll. Stop. Hell yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh yeah, there was like 6 people watching at one point.
Yeah.
And they're still watching right now.
I know.
Meow.
That's what I think to that.
Oh yeah.